That'll be a suspension. That'll be a fine. Nyland going ballistic. He's a freaking madman.
I'm Chris Nyland, and this is the Raw Knuckles Podcast. 2 weeks away from the 24-25 NHL season. Teams have their rosters set. You know, a few teams probably looking for some of their younger guys to step up to the plate and surprise them. But basically, those rosters finalized. You know, the Florida Panthers begin to defend their cup run of last year. Not sure if this team can repeat. It's not one of those teams, but you never know. And we'll see. This is the home stretch of the off season, and 2 weeks away, October 9th. I know they start here in Montreal, and it's going to be interesting to see how things go this season. I'm excited about this NHL season. And let's start, Timothy, in the Atlantic Division, in the Eastern Conference. You know, we look at last season. How are things going to change from last year? Now, who are those teams we saw that made the playoffs, all right? Last year it was Florida, Boston, Toronto, and Tampa. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see any change in that this year? Is
no, I don't really have much.
Sneak in?
I think I got Toronto, Tampa, and Florida. Maybe Ottawa could be a. Well, they picked up Olmark. They got that's a huge pickup for them. I think they have a great captain. I don't know. I mean, if there's a team to sneak in, Boston. Boston's Boston. But I definitely, Detroit is another one. I have the three, but I have one of those three. It's kind of up for grabs on Detroit, Ottawa, and Boston, to be honest.
Yeah. See, I have the Leafs, the Panthers, the Bees, and Tampa.
You got the same four.
Getting in. No specific order. Who's going to win the division? I mean, does Boston put up the... I think the Leafs... might win the Atlantic this year. And I say that because they're a team that is built for the regular season more so than the playoffs. And we've seen that. They haven't shown us anything yet as far as playoff. They won one round in the last 20 years, whatever it is. But I think with Berube in there now, the mindset's going to be a little different. I think this team... Yeah, I think they could be on top of the Atlantic this year. Boston in the ballpark, certainly. I think they might be in the two-hole, and then Panthers and Tampa. And we'll see. Detroit, are they nearing that breakthrough season to finally get into the playoffs? They were so close last year.
I know.
Right? It was them, and Wash ended up getting in. But... You know, Lucas Raymond, another year under his belt. Is Patrick Kane going to have a full season with them? How's he going to play? They got a lot of good young talent. He's done a hell of a job.
Tarasenko.
Yeah, Tarasenko coming in. So, you know, you put him with DeBrincat and Larkin, they certainly can put the puck in the net. And We'll see. We'll see. I think they're gonna be close, but in the end, who knows? Could they sneak by and get by Tampa for a wild card spot or be in that 4-hole? I don't know. But if there's one team out of those bottom teams from last year, you know, the Wings, the Sabres, the Sens, and the Habs. If there's one team that I think is closest to making a breakthrough, it's that team, the Red Wings. The Sabres.
The Wings, the Sens, are the Habs?
So yeah, those four teams that were in the bottom, right? They were 5, 6, and 7.
I got you.
I think the Red Wings probably are the closest to getting in the door.
Okay.
And they could.
They could. And they're kind of like a team, too, that hopefully everyone stays healthy. Hopefully Kane does play a full season, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you lose one of those guys, you know. But I like what I like about them too is like last year was awesome at the end of the year, you know, to see them. They had like all those dramatic, you know, games where they were just fighting for every point. And
But the last game of the season, right?
I know. You remember they scored and they went to the shootout and they knew it was crazy. It was last game of the season.
Right.
And they got a lot of the same guys back, and I think that's, you know, that experience alone brings them as together as a better team. And so, yeah, no, they could sneak in for sure. But definitely I have Florida, Tampa, Toronto, 100%.
Yeah. Well,
Boston would be my fourth, but
we will see. The team on the outside, I think, Detroit. Like I said, I got the same top four that you have, and we'll see. Again, we'll see how it plays out. It's going to be interesting. Buffalo, Ottawa, I just don't see them being there. They haven't shown that consistency, you know, to really win hockey games and night in and night out, and being able to make that jump. They have got a lot of good young talent too, but they just, I don't know what it is about Buffalo, that they can't, you know, even with all the picks they've had and good players they brought in there, it just seems so, I don't know.
They got some good players too. That Tage Thompson,
huge.
You know, and it is. They're like an exciting team to watch, but it's like in the back of your mind, they're not making playoffs. You know, which is weird. It's like they should. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Could they, I don't know if they could. You know, who knows? Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean they brought in a few new guys this year. I think Jason Zucker come in, right.
New coach
Tage
this
Thompson, Dylan Cousins. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But I just don't see them making that jump. So the same old Atlantic up top, Leafs, Panthers, Bruins, and the Lightning. So the Metro, we'll take a peek at the Metro division. And what do you got in the Metro, Tim?
I got the Rangers, Devils. The Devils I really like now that they got Markstrom. Carolina, and then a fight between, you know, Pitt, Wash, Islanders.
Pitt, Wash, Islanders. Ooh, that tells me a lot. Pitt, Wash, Islanders.
Those three teams.
I don't think Wash.
I'm saying
forget about.
I know
Wash.
and I know. I hear you. We're going to be about Ovechkin. I just want Ovechkin to break the record, right?
Yeah.
So he can be in our top 10 greatest players. Because right now he's not.
He's not. We got him on the outside. Yeah, listen, Rangers right there, the Hurricanes again right there, Islanders. I think with Patrick Waugh being there for a full season, not coming in halfway through or whatever he came in last year, he's going to be there from the get-go. His training camp, his team, his fingerprints all over it. So I think we're going to see the Isles back there. As far as the Caps making it this year, I don't think they're in. Who's going to get in above them? I happen to think it could be Pitt. Not sure about the Islanders. About the Flyers popping in there.
No, Flyers, no.
You know, Rangers, Carolina, the Devils.
Devils are going to, I love the Devils.
And the Isles. You know, the pesky Devils are going to be in there for sure. Now, I look at Pittsburgh. Are they going to make a run? I think they're too long in the tooth. Their stars are too old. You got Letang. Sid the Kid. Yeah, he's going to be Sid the Kid. We're not worried about that. But I just think they're long in the tooth. And, yeah, they're going to be on the outside looking in. The Jackets, forget about it. Caps out, and the Flyers, listen, last year, 87 points, they almost got to the 90-point mark. I just wonder if some of these guys with torts behind the bench it's a grind.
Yes.
Right? He's so fucking demanding on these guys, which I like. Those guys accountable, but I think in this day and age, guys just get worn out from it. They can't handle the truth.
No, and especially now.
You
No,
can't
I'm
handle
with you. There's a psychological part now, right? Where if you have a bad game, you can't, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I know what you're saying. Like, I couldn't imagine being a coach and worrying about, 20 different personalities, especially today's game of like,
Right?
even though I hate this kid, I got to be nice to him. Like, kind of, right? Like,
Right.
But Torts is kind of still that old school of like, he doesn't give a shit. So, I think that's good.
You know what? I think he's
lightening up a little bit.
No, I don't think he's lighting up. Yeah, maybe somewhat, but I still think he's just a guy who holds guys accountable. He don't let you. Doesn't matter. It's one of those. And listen, when you're a player, and you see a coach treating different guys, the stars are a little different than the slug players. Yeah, come on,
yeah.
Fuck, I've been there. I've been there plenty of times.
I started
My whole
hating
career,
the player.
I've been there.
I started hating the player.
Right? And there's coaches that just don't like certain players, and we'll see what happens. But God, Couturier, right? There's a perfect example. Guy's been around for how long, and he benched him last year during the season. He wasn't playing well. He had the 2 back surgeries, and
made him captain and then benched him.
Yeah, right. So, no. He's back there, right? He's in year 3 of an 8-year deal. What are you going to do? You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to see how he responds this year, and I hope he does. He's a nice kid, Sean Couturier. And they got that kid Mitchoff coming in. So is that enough to get him over the hump and in the playoffs? I don't think so, but I think they're going to be a competitive team for sure, but I don't see them getting in the playoffs. Could they be knocking on the door a bit? Yeah, but I don't think it's happening.
They'll be a tough team to play. Like, teams won't want to play them type. Well, I know those teams that they're not going to make playoffs.
Yeah, they're going to be a tough out.
They're not going to be easy to play against, right?
Yeah, definitely a tough out. And, the Devs, certainly. I think the Devils, when we look at them in that division, I think they getting Markstrom coming in. They have the goaltending. Now I think they've certainly could have used last season. A team that another team let in a lot of goals last year, 283, and those teams you got to change. You got to be in the 2. I mean.
Yeah, the Devils, Markstrom's huge, I think, because it's always, it's about usually those 2 Russians, like the Stirkin or whatever. It's always, now they got a goaltender too, and I don't know. The Devils, I like them. I like them this year. Obviously, I got them in the playoffs for sure, possibly contending.
Yeah, listen, Hughes, Heischer down the middle, Haller, you got Dawson Mercer, Jesper Bratt, Tatar, Timo Meyer up front, Palat. They have good forwards, and then in the back end, the defensemen, Dillon, Sigenthaler, Hamilton, Kovacevic came over from Montreal, Nemec, DeSimone, and then the big thing, again, Jacob Markstrom coming, getting that solid goaltender, and Jake Allen as a backup coming from Montreal last year. So, yeah, the pesky Devils certainly, I think, is probably the most improved team, I think, in that division. And it's going to be interesting, certainly, to see how it all plays out. Those Ranger Devil games are awesome. And, we'll see what happens in the Metro. So the Central will head out west, Dallas. I got certainly at the top of that division, the Central. And then last year, the teams behind them were Winnipeg, Colorado, Nashville, all 100-point teams. Nashville had 99. I don't see it changing. I don't see somebody unseating any of those four: Dallas, the Jets, Avalanche, and the Preds. Now, the Blues, can they make that jump this year? I don't think. I don't think the moves they made really. I mean, they brought in, Alexander Texier, Faxa, Ryan Suter, Matthew Joseph, and his brother, Pierre Oliver Joseph. So they made some good moves, but I just don't think it's enough for this team to make that jump and get in the playoffs. They're in as far as points, 80-point land. I don't think they're a team that's going to get over 90. What do you got in the Central?
I got the same 4, but I think there could be a surprising at least fight from Utah. The old Coyotes.
Come on.
I don't know. I went to a Coyotes game 2 years ago. It was the worst.
Utah?
Am I in the wrong division?
You are.
Utah.
Aren't you?
No, they're in the Central,
they're
right?
in that division. Yeah, they are.
So, Minnesota, St. Louis are kind of similar. They're going to be whatever. But Utah,
So you
I
think
don't know.
Utah could pull off a Seattle Kraken? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind
And
of.
get
I
in
mean,
the
I was
playoffs?
saying I went to a game 2 years ago, and it was the worst thing I've ever seen. And it was in that arena in Arizona. So I'm just saying, for them to get, I was I sat in a seat that was probably $500 at the Bell Center, but it was like the last row at this place. But it's I don't know. It's exciting that they're going there, and I do like their roster. I've always liked the Coyotes. I like Ingram and behind in that, and I think they got a young kind of good group with Keller and Schmaltz and some of these guys. You never know, but yes, Dallas, Nashville's. I'm excited to see them with Stamkos and Marchessault, and I mean, they're going to be fun to watch and make a run, in my opinion. Dallas, Nashville, Colorado, and then Winnipeg. Yeah, I mean, those are the 4 teams I have. But the question was if there was a team that kind of, it's definitely not going to be Chicago, maybe Utah.
Yeah, listen, in your Utah, and I get it, good young team. They picked up some good guys, Logan Cooley, right, center iceman, Barrett Hayton, Kerfoot, Keller, Nick Schmaltz. They get some decent guys up front. Bukestad's in the mix, obviously, but back on D with Sergachev there.
Oh yeah.
That's huge for them because here's a kid that's Stanley Cup experience. I remember when he came to Montreal, I was shocked when they traded him, shocked, and now he's there. He had that terrible injury, right? Came back from it. And, they couldn't really afford Sergachev in Tampa, and off he goes to Utah. It should be interesting to see how he is as that leader on the back end, how he leads this team moving forward. But that's a huge move for them, getting Sergachev. So it's going to, listen, do they make the playoffs? I don't think so, but it's going to be fun to watch that team moving from Arizona, obviously, to Utah. It's going to be interesting. But, again, I'm Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado,
Nashville
And there are
made
2
some
teams.
big moves, man.
Yeah. But that's 2 teams right there, Dallas and Colorado, that Vegas has for a Stanley Cup winner. I mean, the odds-wise. So, do we see that happen? Because I mean, there's some competition out in the West. I think, major league competition coming out of the West. But that one team, and we're gonna move to the Pacific right now, and I'll let you take the reins here and tell me what you got for the Pacific Division.
Pacific, I got the same 4.
That were there last year.
Edmonton, Vancouver, Vegas, and the Kings. I like Edmonton. I mean, I'm a fan of Edmonton. I think they're going to be back in the finals. Not to jump too far ahead, but I do. I think they picked up a couple guys that they needed some depth scoring. I mean, those guys that they had before were they're key guys in that run, like Fogle and McLeod. But, replacing them with guys like Skinner and who's the other one? I got to look.
On D? You're
no,
talking?
just forward-wise.
Forward-wise you're talking.
Yeah, well, just, because the whole playoffs was in, and granted, they did step up. But
right, they brought Arvidsson in from LA.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, because it was McDavid and Draisaitl. When Draisaitl, didn't really have the best playoffs, but I feel like this is huge additions, these two. And, I mean, how many... Edmonton played as many games as you possibly could play to, lose, right?
Yeah.
You talked about it before, are you ever going to go back? Are you ever going to go back? I can't imagine what these guys feel like. But I think they'll be back. I do. But as far as the rest of the division, Vancouver, I like Vancouver. I mean, it's those four teams, Vancouver, Vegas, and the Kings. If there's a team that maybe could squeak in, it would be, I guess, Seattle. What are your thoughts? I mean, I don't know. Anaheim will be...
Again, I'm not much different than you when it comes to those top four, and I'm not. Vancouver, Edmonton, L.A., and Vegas. I just don't see Calgary or Seattle have done enough to really make that jump. Forget about the Ducks, the Sharks. Forget about it. They're afterthoughts. If anything, Calgary or Seattle, do they have a chance at sniffing at the door? Both teams had 81 points last year. Are we going to see them jump to 98 or 95 to even get a sniff at maybe getting in the door? But the competition out there, when you look at it, again, Nashville, 99 points, they get in, right? And Vegas, 98 points, they get in. So that's the benchmark out west that was set.
That was the wild cards?
Yeah. When you look at the wild card in the East, right? Tampa and the Caps had, 91 points, I think? Was it? Oh, no. Yeah, 91 points. Yeah, exactly what they had, 91. So that was the benchmark. Tampa got in, and they had 98 as a wild card. So, I don't think either of those two teams are able to put up those kind of numbers this year. But it's going to be interesting. Again, can
you don't think San Jose can? What did San Jose? No, I'm just kidding. I was going to say a dumb joke.
San Jose. Go from, you don't think they can go from 47 points to 90 points?
95.
No,
That's what I was trying to say, but I was reading a prediction that.
Vancouver, right? Edmonton, I got certainly in the Stanley Cup final. I think they'll be there. And again, we're not predicting our Stanley Cup final just yet, but I think that's going to be one of the teams. I don't know about the East. We'll do that on another day. But, when I look at Vancouver and the season they had, they had 50 wins last year. 50 wins. Can they sustain that? Because, listen, they brought in Tocchet, right? But they brought in Tocchet. And all of a sudden we see a whole different hockey club, right? A lot of the same players, and all of a sudden we see this team take off and have a season that was off the charts. I don't think anybody, that wasn't expected, I don't think. Do you? Did you?
What, Tocchet coming in and...
No, well, the jump Vancouver made from...
No, yeah.
The previous season, right? When you think... it was incredible what they did from the previous season. Previous season, Vancouver, right? What they 22-23 season, Vancouver had 83 points. 83 points.
And then they were like what?
They had 38 wins. So they had 12 more wins, 50-win season last year. I mean, that's an incredible jump. Now, can they sustain that? Are we going to see that again from this team? I don't know if they can. They're certainly going to be in the playoff mix. And well, I think they'll be a good playoff team. But, boy, that was just probably one of the most, for me, one of the most surprising teams last year as far as, point totals and what they did. They really
and they gave Edmonton a run in that series. They were like a game away from just getting to the conference finals, from 83 points or whatever you just said to almost the conference finals. They have a really, I like Vancouver. You really saw in that playoffs like how good of a team, at least a tough team they can be. 50 wins is, yeah. I think they're definitely in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. And again, we have Edmonton coming out again. But, all of these predictions, teams got to stay healthy, right? You always got to deal with injuries. Do you have the depth to be able to, hang in there as a team and still make the playoffs if you have, numerous injuries? You got to have guys to be able to step in and really do the job. You look at, and I'll just go back to Montreal and Kirby Dach last year. Suzuki Dach 1-2, and then Kirby Dach gets hurt. He's gone all year. Really hurt the Canadians last season as far as, they weren't going to make the playoffs still, but I think they would have been better team overall, and they certainly wouldn't have. I think they would have been in the 80s as far as points. They would have had more wins with those two top centermen there. So, again, this season's going to be interesting. Again, going to be fun to watch. I can't wait till it gets going.
I feel like it's been, for some reason this year, I feel like it's been taken forever. The season to start.
Right?
I don't know why.
You can't wait for it to get going. And out west, too, right? When you look, we got the Oilers, Vegas. Like Vegas, you think they stumble at all this year? I think certainly they're in the playoffs, but are they going the other way, do you think? A little bit?
I was thinking about that earlier, too. I mean, I don't know, losing Stevenson and Marcia. So, I mean, they lost some key guys. But I could see them maybe. That's what I had, I think. Oh, no, I had Vegas in this different division. But I guess that's where, like, maybe a Seattle can sneak in. I don't know. That would be maybe the team that gets, not in the playoffs.
Snuck out.
Yeah.
The one that sneaks out.
Yeah, but they're still going to be good. I think they may. Yeah, that's a good question. Like, are they going to take a step
They got
back?
Eichel, Carlson, and Hurdle. The three centermen.
Pretty good
solid up the middle, right? So, again, and then on the back end, they got great D. When you Theodore, Pietrangelo, Haig, Hannafin, McNabb, and Whitecloud. They got solid D. And then, in the net, that kid Hill and Samsonov. So, yeah, they're certainly in there, but are they going to be that dangerous team in the playoffs? They could be one of them teams that upset someone. Are they? Yeah. We're going to see them go to the final? I don't believe so, but, they have their Stanley Cup for sure. And, we'll see. They're going to be a team that competes night in and night out with that coach. There's no question there. How about the Kings when you look out west with the?
I don't know. It's like weird. It's like they're a solid team, but I never think about them for some reason.
Because they're in LA.
Yeah, probably. But they're. I don't know who they lose. Arvidsson, Dubois, which and then you got Doughty and Kopitar. They're kind of getting old. I don't know if the Kings. I don't know. I'm always wrong with them. I always feel like they're not a strong.
Off.
Yeah. I'm with you on that, but Yeah, I guess I would have Vegas over them. Maybe
Yeah.
if a Seattle were to sneak in, it would be over the Kings, not Vegas.
Listen, I do. I have Vegas. I do have them above the Kings for sure.
No, that's true. I didn't realize that's a good one. That's true. I mean, I'm with that because I at first I had Kings in, but now I'm thinking about it. I'm reading, and I never really liked them, but they're always. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
they certainly they got skunked when you think about Pierre-Luc Dubois and the players they gave up for him. And
And he
now,
went to Washington. I mean, is that going to change, or is he going to be?
No, I think, I think the best years that kid had was when he played under John Tortorella in Columbus. I know he was hard on him and demanding, but he was playing his best hockey, I think, there. Then he got to Winnipeg, and listen, Winnipeg. And we talk about this player, Dubois. Winnipeg gets Gabe Velarde and Iafallo. Hello, those two players, they made the world of difference for Winnipeg last year in the way they played. They stepped up. Velarde played unbelievable for them. So did Iafallo when they come in, both of them. So. That's another team, and they're in the Central. We're talking about Pacific here, but that's another team that, man, they got some compete there. It's Scheifele and Nemskinov up the middle, Lowry.
Hellebuck, and then Hellebuck. And
Ehlers,
there go.
Connor.
And that's a tough place to go in and play, being a old, Winnipeg Jet myself.
Alumni of
being a
the
fan
Jets.
favorite.
Fan favorite.
Oh. No, yeah, it'll be interesting this year.
No.
There's been some, couple
Listen,
teams I'm excited.
All right. Now, the odds in Vegas, when you look at all Stanley Cup champion, the odds, and here's the vote: Oilers, 46.9%; Dallas, 21.9%. Poll that was done. New York Rangers, 9.4 said. So they were third. Colorado, 6.3. Nashville, 6.3. I don't know how you get Nashville in there. I don't, but Carolina, 3.1. The Devils are in there. Vancouver's in there. As far as a poll they had on The Athletic, which, but it's way too early, right? But you...
Way too early. We're going to be talking about. We're going to be predicting how Utah is going to do in the Stanley Cup playoffs in a few months.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, I can't wait for this NHL season to get going. Like you, and it's coming up. And once we get cranking here, we'll see how these predictions of ours start to play out. It should be fun. I'm looking forward to this year, and we're certainly going to do more of this, Tim.